Well, two classics. Oh, Benny King was the first one with Spanish Harlem, followed on there by Sam Cooke and Chain Gang. And it's nice to welcome back into the studio Dr. Computer, Alex Newman. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. Great to be here again.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Very much so.
You're looking good. Nice glasses, but they're not, are they?
They're more than glasses. These are the Amazon Echo frames. As you can see, they have little speakers on the legs of the thing, and they have a microphone, and they have a little light here, and you can say, for example, the name of that Amazon box that we don't want to wake up right now, and you can issue commands, and it will connect to your phone, and then do all the Amazon commands that you're used to with your devices. So yeah, it's great. It's easy to wear. I can use it to listen to music, to listen to the breakfast show when I'm outside or whatever, walking my dog. And since they don't cover my ears, I can still hear what's going on around me.
Sure. And the thing, the lenses and the frames look very flat, as if it's all one. Have you got prescription lenses?
Yes, I do.
Oh, they are prescription lenses?
Yeah, they are prescription lenses. And it's not that I need to wear glasses, it's just more comfortable if I wear glasses.
You just like to make a spectacle of yourself?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Last time I did, the guy said, sir, this is a Wendy's. But yeah.
Now, when I dropped you said, what are we going to talk about this week? I was watching, it was a program, it's one of the business programs that BBC does, coming in from India. And I mean, I got completely lost. They're talking, oh yes, we're going to build a metaverse, and we do this, we do that. I'm thinking, what language are you talking? And where did this? And ever since they said it, I keep seeing it. What is a metaverse?
Well, it comes from it's a portmanteau.
Well, I thought it came out of the Marvel comics.
No. It actually has been mentioned in one way or another in novels such as Ready Player One or Snow Crash. And it's a mix of two words. Meta, that means beyond or, in front of or whatever, next to. And verse, which is kind of the last part of universe. And it means, well, what's beyond what's already there. In this case, a lot of people will relate it to things like augmented reality or virtual reality. But these are really just ways to get into or access stuff that's in the metaverse. A metaverse itself, you may be familiar with the concept of games like The Sims or Second Life, which was one of your favorites back at the turn of the century. And where you had an avatar, which is a Sanskrit word that means, the representation of or the agent of, like the word proxy, for example. And you have this avatar of yourself where this avatar can move around and do things and entertain itself or even do work in this constructed universe called the Metaverse, where other people can also be in that place and interact with you and with each other and with things that are outside. For example, recently, because of the whole, health situation that's going on right now, a lot of people hadn't been able to go to concerts, and a lot of artists weren't able to go to perform as well. So one way to deal with that was to create a virtual concert in a game such as Fortnite or whatever, and people within the game would actually pay tickets to go see the equivalent of a Zoom call. But
that was something they were doing a long time ago, actually, but with Second Life. That a particular avatar who was a particular person would go and perform in the park or something or whatever. But the way you sort of explain it, you say it's a little bit like, I remember the first time that I sat down as the guest with a load of traders in the conference room for them trying to explain to me that the futures market, and that I could pay so much in advance and that would be my futures purchase, and I kept saying, where's my oil? So don't worry about that. That's not important. But no, if I'm paying it, if I want it, where's my oil? No, but you're betting, you're hedging. and they just completely destroyed our market. I mean,
yeah, in that regard, yes. But the way that I believe that Mark Zuckerberg and company might be,
he's the James Bond baddie.
Yeah. The way that he might be looking at it might not necessarily be something like the futures market or whatever. It might be a little bit more like, 10 chess moves ahead kind of thing, which it could go bad, but he could probably afford it. I mean, he's got at least 10,000 people working.
He's getting a lot of bad lately.
Yeah, but he's kind of, he's got this economic armor, So the thing is, he's got around 10,000 people working on this project, at least. So, I mean, he must believe in it. But basically, what I think might be his economic model is to treat it as a creator economy. You go in there with your avatar and whatever, and other people also go in there with their avatars, and they create content of some kind. Some kind of like what they're doing right now with social media and Instagram and Facebook and everything else. And then he'll probably just, skim a little off the top of every transaction that goes on. If you want to pay for content, if you want to pay, I mean, it's not new. People whose kids are playing Roblox or whatever are spending a lot of money right now on improvements for their characters or new set of clothes for their avatars, things like that. I mean, it's stuff that only exists within the game or within the environment.
But this is nothing. I mean, this is going back. This is what we used to do with Second Life.
Exactly.
You would buy a house, then you'd buy furniture, then you'd go and you get yourself clothes. I mean, it really is that fun. Sometimes when I'm going around and walking in the shops, I said, this is just like it was in Second Life. You go in and you buy your stuff and you take it home. So I mean, this isn't new. So I mean, what is the advancement then that they're looking at?
I think it might be something akin to grabbing all of that experience they already have and all that data they already have on so many people, and then trying to provide something that will encourage engagement and transactions that they can pinch a few pennies off of every time that happens, which didn't happen that much in Second Life. I mean, you could pay for a billboard in the game or whatever, but I think as in social media, their ads might be a little bit more intrusive than we're used to, especially if you're wearing like a VR headset in your face. It's not like you can swat the advertising away or press an X in the air or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see, but also it's going to be interesting to see if people really adopt it. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been adopted more easily the second time around. For example, things like Twitter had this 6-second thing where you uploaded really short videos. Can't remember the name right now. I mean, it was just a couple of years ago, but this is dog's years when you're talking about social media. But then you have Instagram stories and you have reels and things like that. And that kind of came from that previous effort. It didn't take the first time. It kind of took the second time. Maybe the metaverse idea might take the second time. Or it might just go away and we'll be talking about something else, maybe.
Right, yes. Anybody the wiser?
Probably not. I mean, I think it's an interesting idea to be able to, for example, enjoy the work of teachers that are across the globe from you. I mean, if you could go to a class.
I mean, that would be good. I mean, if you went into a virtual classroom and you sat at a desk, or a museum, but you sat at a desk and you sat there with other people that are attending it, and it was interactive with the teacher, with everybody. Yeah, I can see a benefit in that.
Or you could watch a movie, for example, which you can already do. There's a software called Plex that
this is no different really than doing Zoom, is it?
Well, it could be a little bit more different. There, for example, using Plex and using a VR headset, you could have your own avatar and sit in a virtual couch with somebody else who's across the world watching the same movie as you, and you can turn to them and talk to them and hear them while you're watching the movie, just like sitting at a movie theater.
I can imagine doing that and turning around to them and saying, "Where the hell did you come from?
Exactly.
Get out of my house."
Exactly. And that's why you shouldn't have the same password for everything. Also, I'm guessing that, the usual putting your arm around that person is going to get awkward because there's not going to be a real...
Okay. I mean, this is interesting because, as I said, to me, from what you're explaining, it doesn't really sound that new, because this is what we did with Second Life. I mean, we could fly, we could run, we could jump, we could go to the shops. I mean, graphics-wise, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. That side of things, I expect it does exist, but Second Life with virtual reality would be great, where you could actually walk around yourself in that world, as opposed to sort of doing it through your avatar, sort of moving him around. If you could yourself go into that world and move around as if you're actually there, that would be very interesting.
And it will be one of the ways that people can interact with it, but you will want to be able to interact with it on your phone or on a tablet or whatever, if you're not near your VR headset setup or whatever. Also, you have to take into account, when Second Life came around, not everybody had a digital wallet. Not everybody had access to being able to transfer funds from one place to the other, or things like NFTs or whatever. It might be that the market might be a little bit more willing to adopt something like Second Life this second time around. Maybe the Metaverse will be Second Life's Second Life.
Okay.
Or maybe not.
Hey, a couple of things. Let me just put it up. A couple of interesting things, actual fact, came out yesterday in the legislative. I'm going to do because the other one we'll talk about later. But also, as I said, the Trade and Economic Affairs Commission of the National Assembly began on Wednesday the discussion of two bills related to the use of cryptocurrencies in Panama. Zenobia Vargas, a PRD deputy, one of the proponents, said that the goal is for the population to start using these cryptocurrencies for any commercial transaction. In his opinion, Panama should not be left behind. And it talks about people like me who were saying there were people who said, for example, that they did not like WhatsApp, but now even my grandmother sends messages. It reminds me when I first came to Panama, we didn't have cell phones. And I remember turning around to my administrator at the time and saying, can you go out and, I need a cell phone. Where can I? No, we don't have. So I said, what do you mean don't have them? I ended up with a bleeper. Well, the other thing was they sold me it was a like a military in this with a long aerial which was about 4 feet high, and a telephone that looked like something, say, like you'd use in the army. And if somebody wanted to call you from London, for instance, the number if I was in A Rocha was different to the number than if I was in Pricemart. So whoever was going to call me had to know where I was, so that didn't last very long. It just became a brick to hold the door open. And I remember when we started to get cell phones, I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, hey, we're getting cell phones. He said, they'll never catch on in Panama. And now I think everybody in Panama has got at least 2 cell phones. Is this a sort of, are we bound eventually to use cryptocurrencies? Is there going to be no except? But that was the first one. Let me just mention the other point, because this will come into the conversation. And a letter sent to the Commission, the Banking Association of Panama expressed that the incorporation of cryptocurrency in Panama could be incompatible with the payment system. Well, you see, the whole thing, Mr. Bank, is that we don't need you when we use cryptocurrencies. Okay, that's the whole idea, is to get away from as far as I'm concerned, to get away from the structure of the financial system as we know it. But for me right now, well, 2 things. Firstly, there was an offer that I got a $20 amount of money put into my cryptocurrency wallet through our friends at offertosimply.com with this cryptocurrency. They had this wallet here in Panama. And the first 250 people got this $20. Well, I did this sort of the next morning, not available. So I went on to I said, well, hang on, why is it to officer? I said, why is this not available? And they said, well, I don't know, we're talking to, because I said, well, hang on, you said the first 250 people, so I guess when you got 250 subscribers, okay, you cut it off, right? No, but what they did was they posted the code that you use to get that. So the first person who buys it can share that code with anybody. And so they came back and said, the next morning they sent me a message and they said, yeah, they've agreed to do another 100 people. I didn't wait a second. I went straight on as soon as I got that email. Guess what? No longer available. Now, to me, I'm sorry, that's a con. But what happened was these people got all my information by doing that, because you had to register for the wallet and then you claimed. You couldn't claim first and then open the wallet. You had to open the wallet, then claim, and then they tell you no longer available. So to me, that was a con. They got my information. I didn't get my thing. Is this the way the cryptocurrency people are going to work?
No.
You know?
That's the way scammers are going to work. I mean, it could be with any other product or service. Scammers will usually jump on the bandwagon of whatever's in fashion, like futures, and they will take your money if you're not careful. Unfortunately, a lot of scammers have come in, and there's a whole bunch of scams like OneCoin. I remember one guy who was OneCoin, One Life, and a whole bunch of other things, and the CEO of that company is already in jail or something like that. And they defend these scams and whatever with their life, but in the end, they all get proven as scams. Cryptocurrency itself is not a scam. It's just an electronic means of things like payments, store of value, and so on. I, for one, have a Bitcoin wallet, and some people actually pay me using cryptocurrency. I pay some of my services with cryptocurrency, but I don't treat it as an investment. I treat it as another form of payment, just like euros or rubles or yens or whatever. And the fact that these legislations are coming in hopefully will allow a more standardized way for people and businesses to use alternative forms of payment. And it's ironic because you saw the statement by the Banking Association saying it's not going to be compatible or whatever. It's ironic that you have a banking system where every transaction has to go through SWIFT, and a lot of the transactions have to be processed by equipment from IBM. And two of the biggest contributors to a lot of the consortiums that are drawing up all the laws for using cryptocurrency and whatever, some of the biggest members include IBM and SWIFT, because they want to incorporate that into the banks.
Sure. But also the thing is, I mean, we had a discussion with somebody about cryptocurrency here on the program, and I said, but we're already using cryptocurrency
All over the place.
Well, because it's the normal system is cryptocurrency. It doesn't exist. It is there in numbers and amounts and whatever, but it's not physically there.
Not only that, you know what the first cryptocurrency-like token currency was that we used here in Panama? The Balboa. It doesn't really exist. It's just pegged to the dollar. It represents a dollar. It's worth $1 to you. It's worth $1 to me. But a Balboa is not worth anything to anybody outside unless you change it into actual dollars. Well, guess what? That's called USDT, which is a coin that you can buy and use, and a lot of people use here in Panama. So, yeah, the thing about the legislation is to try and at least make the rules clear, because when there's no rules, you get scams like the one that you just described.
No, I think I'm going to clear that up. I'm not saying it was a scam. I'm saying it was badly
executed. Yeah,
because offertosimply.com was giving you the code that you use to. There was no link to you using that code. In other words, when you went to this cryptocurrency company to open the wallet, which I thought was a good idea to have a wallet, and but when you went to do it, it wasn't, they at their side did not link it, as what I can tell, to the person who made the purchase. It wasn't a purchase, it was free. You were being given money. But there doesn't seem to be this link. So in all, the way this would work was the first person that got that code could give it to as many people as he wanted, and they would open the wallet and they'd use that code, and the people that went through offertosimply.com were just left out.
Or a single person opened 250 accounts with the same code and 250 email addresses. Who knows?
But, so no, I'm certainly not implying that was a scam. It was just badly put together, waste of my time, but not just a waste of my time, that there was no guarantee that I had that offer at the time they wanted my information. So in other words, they didn't say, okay, first give us your code, who are you? Matching it with the people that have taken the offer from No. First it was, well, you have to open the wallet first. Then we'll give you $20. You put in the code, no longer available. And that to me, I just found really, really annoying. So,
yeah, and it's badly executed no matter if it's cryptocurrency or movie tickets.
No. I mean, it's just yeah. So I just want to clear that up. I'm certainly not implying that was a scam. So cryptocurrency. I mean, there's different types of cryptocurrency. If I was Ethereum is one of them, which is valued a lot less than Bitcoin, I guess, which is, if you like, the Tesla of cryptocurrencies for the time being. It's the
You mean that it's inherently broken and promoted by really bad people?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say that about Tesla. I just think, no, what I'm saying, that is the if you like, the dominant.
Yes.
Okay, by a long way.
Yeah.
Now, if I was to buy a cryptocurrency, I probably wouldn't buy that one. I would probably go for Ethereum, which is worth a lot less, based on the fact that there's the possibility that has a larger potential of growth, possibly, than Bitcoin.
You're asking me. No,
Yeah. No.
I have no clue.
No, I'm not asking,
I would
but
definitely ask somebody who knows more about that. Maybe we can get our friend Tony Sano to come in.
Yeah, that'd be good. Again,
yeah.
Because it is a little bit like they say, that it's not easy to teach an old dog tricks. But what they say is probably right. In my generation, when we went from telex to email, I'm not going to use that newfangled thing. I think at the end of the day, cryptocurrency is going to be a way of life. I mean, it is going to be one of the things that worries me about a little bit is the volatility. But then we have volatility in other currencies, but there is no, if you like, structure to.
I think that the volatility, and again, this is from somebody who has no financial background or no financial backing whatsoever. I think the volatility right now in Bitcoin is because people are still learning how to deal with this whole thing. Right now, I think that Bitcoin is more of a currency that will be used in the future to store value long term, because transactions take longer, sometimes minutes to be performed, as opposed to other cryptocurrencies which are instantaneous. I mean, you have to take into account that the regular credit cards that we use every day process billions of transactions all the time in fractions of a second, whereas Bitcoin can take from several seconds to many minutes to sometimes hours, depending on traffic. So it may not be the currency that you use for your everyday needs. Sure. Maybe to pay your taxes, or to buy a house, or buy a car, or buy, a large screen TV or whatever. But for like microtransactions, we'll probably be using something closer to what we have today in like Yapi and Neki and PayPal, or in USDT or other coins that are more, they're called stable coins for a reason. They're pegged to something that we're already familiar with.
Okay. Now, the other thing, which we touched on while we were waiting to start our chat this morning, which I was very happy to see, because I'm a bit of a car freak, and I love electric cars. I'd love to have an electric car. I don't think I'll probably ever be able to afford one in my lifetime, but
maybe one of those in the park that they do, the bumper cars.
Maybe that was a good start. But yesterday, the plenary session of the National Assembly approved, in the third debate, the bill that encourages electric mobility in land transportation in Panama. Now, the proposal received 38 votes in favour and 1 abstention. This was put forward by our friend Edison Brosse, independent deputy, and he was proponent of the initiative. And I went to Edison last night, congratulate him, because I know him quite well. And all being well, he's going to chat with us next week.
That's going to be awesome.
On the Breakfast Show about his plans. Now, he said this is a step forward for the future of Panama. and it's going to be a collaboration with the environment, health and economy, indicate the country is highly dependent on fossil fuels, so a greater push towards the use of electric vehicles is required. And what it says here, it will generate a chain of values in which many Panamanians will benefit, since it will require facilities, solar panels, battery distribution, among other things. And according to him, it's going to contribute to health because we won't get the air pollution that we get. And for his part, there was Deputy Leandro Avila from the Democratic Revolutionary Party described the project as positive. However, he says that the important thing is to find a formula to lower the costs of these vehicles so that the majority of the population has access. I mean, I've been on about this for a long time because I said, I like to just watch them even if I can't afford them for electric vehicles in Panama. But it's, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you put any infrastructure first, or do you bring in the vehicles first? And that will push people to, people aren't going to put the infrastructure until they know that there's going to be a lot of cars on the road.
So you go with the middle road. You start with plug-in hybrids. Mm-hmm. Hybrids that can be plugged in and can use gasoline when they run out of power for whatever reason. Or you start with other hybrids, the ones that run mainly on gasoline but then switch over to battery when they're going slow, or when they recover energy from the braking and things like that. You start with the hybrids, and then you work on to them.
I don't want to do that. I want to go straight to an electric vehicle. I know for a fact the one I'm not sure how much it's going to cost. The Honda have brought out, I've seen it. A really cute little electric vehicle, really sort of modern looking, and And of course the thing is as well, I was talking to the good lady yesterday about this, is that so much of our driving is in the city. Okay. Now, a lot of these vehicles, they've got something like 300-kilometer range, which is very good. For me, most of my driving is the city. I've been to the interior probably, because of the lockdown, not very much at all. But so that would be perfect for me. And if I want to do a longer journey, you can calculate it and you can work out when you need or whatever to recharge. But I just think it is such a benefit, and I see the day, because electric vehicles are pretty basic. They're mainly computers that do all the controlling. It's like the way you control a drone these days, So it's mainly sort of computer orientated. The hardware, the electric motors, and the drivetrain, etc., and of course the batteries are a big part of the cost. But they're not difficult. They're fairly simple, and I can see the day where instead of these little scooters we see lying around everywhere in the city, you're going to have little banks of little cars, electric cars, and you will have your credit card. You push your credit card in the slot; it'll register that you've bought it. In a way,
no need for a credit card. Just get your smartwatch or your phone near the thing, and unlock it with the app. Just like you do with the little scooters.
There you go. I've never used one of those. Have you used one?
Yeah, several times. They're pretty good.
So how does that work? Because I see them lying around here on the street. I thought of going around in a truck and picking them all up.
You have... They all have 2 or 3 GPS systems built in so they can tell where they are. They have been catching people trying to do that, and there have been some people going to jail over that. You run an app. It's called Bird, and you go Bird Scooter app. You run that. It tells you which one's nearest. There's like 3 or 4 just around the block from the studio
they're around here. Yeah.
And then you use it, and you pay. I think it's $0.25 a minute or something like that. And
it's reasonable.
Yeah, and you can use them to run errands, to go pretty much anywhere. I suggest wearing a helmet if you can.
I agree.
But they're set to not go too fast anyway. Still, they do have insurance, and I've heard of 1 or 2 people falling off of them. They get the assistance they need right away, so it's pretty safe.
Now, what about charging? Because I see them on the street, and I'm thinking, well, how do you know how much charge they've got?
They all talk to their main office and tell them when they need recharging, and you can tell how much charge there is in the app as well.
Okay, because I've never seen. I mean, they appear. I mean, it's magic. Because I've never seen anybody bring them or take them away.
There's people driving around at night, picking them up and putting them back in, taking them for a charge and then putting them back in. I mean, it's actually an economy in the U.S. People get hired just like you would like an Uber driver, but for these things. You pick them up, you charge them at home, you bring them back, and you get a couple of dollars out of that.
Okay.
It's like a dog walker for, the 21st century. So you take them, you bring them home, you feed them, you put them back out in the wild.
And when you finish, do you just leave it anywhere, or?
Yes, but there are some guidelines there, and it will still charge you if you don't leave it in a good location.
Oh, okay.
So you can't just leave it in the middle of the street, for example.
No.
But you can leave them in certain sidewalks in certain areas. I believe the company has talked to several leaders of corregimientos in places like Costa del Este and Ciudad del Saber and everything, where they've been allowed to, then they allow people to leave them. If they are not allowed by the community, then the app will tell you, hey, you're venturing into somewhere that we can't let you park.
Now, the other thing that amazes me with these things is that people just take them, they're using them on the road. There's no legislation as to where or when you can use them, or because I'm not, it worries me when I see them when I'm driving, for a start. But of course, you can't use the sidewalks. I mean, you can't use the sidewalks to walk.
You need a 4x4.
Just to use the sidewalks. I remember once I had to go and pick up my car. It was from those days from Nissan, and I decided to walk from the good lady's office to where they were, which was quite a stretch. And I soon decided to get a taxi because the sidewalks were in such state of disrepair, with holes in them and cracked bricks and whatever, or you had to walk on the road because somebody had put their 4x4 on the pavement or whatever. He probably needed to drive on there. So there's an issue. We can't use them on the sidewalks, so you're using them on the street. But the whole electric mobility idea, I think, is great. And he does point out, actually, Edison points out that we already do have electronic transportation. It's called the metro.
Yeah. And, now that you mention it, I keep telling my mechanic, if you think the potholes on the road are bad for my suspension, I mean, you should see what happens to my suspension when I drive on the sidewalk. But yeah, I totally get your point. And the metro is electric, and there's a lot of there at least used to be an electric bus in Casco Viejo.
Right. It used to go around Casco, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the current mayor has continued on with that project. Hopefully they have. Unfortunately, not all the good stuff from the last time is maintained. But the important thing is there's some steps involved. Of course, like many other things, these first steps are just first steps, and we can't just sit and say, okay, it's done. No, we need to continue pushing for a lot of things. For example, you say, I want to go to the interior, but I have a electric vehicle with a 300 kilometer capacity or whatever, and there's no charging stations. Well, there should be some sort of an incentive for you to rent a hybrid, perhaps. So maybe there could be some economic incentives for, the rental of hybrids. That would get more people to use these cars without purchasing them, and maybe letting them get more familiar with the technology as well. I mean, I'm sure that we could sit down with some coffee or an adult beverage of some kind and come up with many creative ideas on how to make it so that these electric mobility solutions become more and more accessible to more people. And while being responsible. And by responsible, I mean we have to have legislation in place, for example, to take care of spent batteries in a responsible manner.
Right.
I mean, if you think throwing your Duracells in the garbage is bad, wait till you have to look at the size of the batteries on one of these electric vehicles.
Okay, Renee,
with lithium.
Renee just said our daughter at Oregon State University has access to a service called Zipcars. Not e-cars, but still nice for students to have access to a car when needed. I went also to see in Costa del Este not so long ago a new apartment building which is going up, and they're very small. They're like little lofts, but ideal for, if I was a younger person, that would be perfect for me. And down in the sort of social area, they've got places, special rooms for Zoom meetings. They've got a cafeteria. They got, and I thought this was great. But they've also got access to a number of Tesla vehicles. To use, and I think this is a great idea. And if anybody's listening and they've got an electric vehicle that they'd like me to test and try running around town, 677-18822 is the.
I'll talk to my friends at Nissan. They have a couple of them that you.
Oh, the Leaf.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I'd love to try one out, and
maybe we can do like a carpool karaoke thing.
Oh, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sponsored by Nissan Leaf. There we are. What a great idea. That's it. We're sort of coming up towards the top of the hour. It's been great to have you back in the studio, I must admit.
Great to be here.
And, I think two items there, which to do with tech, which I thought were really good, because I like to see that they are sort of looking at other issues other than the electoral reforms and the budget. Because there's an awful lot to do, and two things there in one day: cryptocurrencies and electric mobility. So good luck to
plus the metaverse.
Plus the metaverse, which is still. I'm going to go and take a couple of Panadol in a minute. But it's interesting when you hear people talk about it, because they talk about it as if but they're forgetting that there's people around them that just don't have a clue. So it's not out of a Marvel comic. It's actual reality. So what have you got? What have you got planned? Have you got any new tech, by the way? You're still wearing your old watch, the same as I am.
I do have. I left it in the car. A very interesting piece of kit. It's a power bank made by Xiaomi, and not only does it have 20,000 milliamp hours of power, but it also has a USB power delivery micro USB connector, which means I can use it to power my laptop.
Oh, okay.
So I've had a couple of, now that we're out and about a little more, I've had a couple of occasions where I've had to work all day somewhere that's not close to a power plug. So I've used that to add another 2 or 3 hours of power to my battery, which is always nice. Also, I have a phone that I want to show you, but I have to honor a NDA, so I'll show it to you maybe later as well. And I have the Quadcast from HyperX. It's a broadcasting and gaming and streaming microphone.
Okay.
That does both like directional audio, but also it picks up around. You can select what kind of audio you want to pick up.
That's good.
And I can use that for podcasts or whatever. It's also pretty good. I've been using it extensively. Not as good for voiceovers because it doesn't pick up as well as like a professional mic, so I'm not going to ditch my professional mic for that. But I think it's pretty good for like everyday use for Zoom meetings and everything. Maybe I'll show you over Zoom, or maybe I'll bring it next week.
That'd be super. And the thing that I got, I guess I bought it and not realizing that the problem I was going to have was that my car went through a spate for about 2 or 3 months of the battery going down in just a couple of days. I go down, the battery would be almost gone, and we could not find the problem. But what I had bought previously is what's called a Hulkman, this particular one, and it's just a brick. And this will start a vehicle of up to 6 litres, a gas vehicle, and I think it's a little bit less for a diesel vehicle. And I had to use this, and all you do is you take it out, you connect the 2 leads, connect it to your battery, little light says ready, you go in, you start your car. None of this worrying about leads and getting somebody to help you push it or whatever. It is amazing. And I went down one day and the battery was so low I couldn't even open the door. I had to use the physical key to open it. And I connected,
like a savage,
and I connected the Hulkman up, and I got a warning. And I said, "Oh, what's this?" And luckily I had the internet, and I said, "Oh, if you get the warning, what it means is that basically the battery is below 8 volts." So, and this was completely dead. Push the light, because it's got a light built-in, it's got all different accessories that you can use with it. It says push the on and the light button together for 5 seconds and it'll do it. And he did that and he came out and says ready, went in, started the car. Absolutely amazing device. And the battery lasts 18 months.
I have one of those that I got from PriceMart as well. It's in the glove compartment, ready to be used, because I sometimes, when I come back like really late from a lot of work and whatever, I sometimes forget to close the door properly, and you get the little light at the top, and that drains the battery. And since I don't use the car every day, sometimes it can be like 2 or 3 days with the little light on. It'll kill the battery.
Sure.
So I've got that in the.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing.
It pays for itself after the third time you have to call La Casa de las Baterías.
Yeah, well, it's paid for itself 10 times over for me. Hey, great to have you back with us in the studio, Dr. Computer Alex Newman, and all being well. Oh, we won't see you next week. It's holiday week.
It is.
It is. Oh, I won't be here either. That's nice. So, all being well, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
All right. Dr. Computer Alex Newman with us here on The Breakfast Show. Always great to have him. It's so good to have him back here with us physically in the studio. It's good to have anybody in the studio, really, when I come to think of it.